Okay, now we will do what we call the backward pass. Right, with the backward pass, remember we said what we are going to calculate, focus on now, is the late start and the late finish of our activities. We finished the forward pass where we were concentrating on the early start and the early finish. Now we look at the late start and the late finishes of all the activities, right? So as a rule of thumb, remember what we said on the previous video, that once we are done with the forward pass, when we go to the last activity, we simply match. So that means here we've got 31 and here we've got 29, okay? I'm pretty sure when you're listening to this, maybe you don't really have time to ask a lot of questions why certain things are done. I think this is one of the cases, all right? I don't know why we have to match, but it makes sense. That's how it is. That's the correct way of doing it, okay? And we go to the next one. Now, as a rule, now when we are coming here, we are now concerned, what we do is when we are going backwards, we look at, say, I right there, okay? So what we are going to start with is the late finish of that activity, all right? So the late finish of an activity is equal to the late start of the successor, all right? So this might be a bit of a bone to chow, but if you just say it a few more times, you will understand it. Okay, so let's say that again. When we are doing the backward pass, when we go to each and activity, we first of all look at the late finish, all right? So that means when we are calculating for I, we will look at the late finish first. And when we calculate for H, we will also start by calculating the late finish. For G, we are also going to calculate the late finish first. And then for F, we will also calculate the late finish. This applies to all the activities, right? So you actually have to think about it step by step so that you don't get confused, okay? So to calculate the late finish here, we said the late finish of each and every activity is equal to the late start of the successor. So that means the late finish of this activity is equal to the late start of the successor, all right? Which is what? 20, 29, all right? Once we have this, to calculate the late start, so we have the late start is equal to the late finish minus the duration. All right, that's how we're going to get our late start. So therefore here we are saying 29 minus 4 to get 25. All right, let's go to activity H. So like we said, repeat the rule over and over again as you work on each and activity, and by the time you go to the exam, it will be stuck in your head. That's how it stuck into my head, okay? So we go to late finish of activity H here. Remember, the late finish of each and every activity is equal to the late start of the successor. What is the successor of H? It's J. What is the late start of J? Is 29. So therefore, we've got 29 over there, all right? And to calculate the late start there, we say 29. Remember, late start is equal to late finish minus the duration. So 29 minus 5, we get 24. We go on to the next one. We want to calculate the late finish of activity G. We then ask ourselves, you don't ask ourselves, you ask yourself, what is the successor of the activity G? It is J. By successor, we mean the one that comes after, right? So the successor of G is J. What is the late start of J? Is 29. So therefore, the late finish of G is 29. And to calculate the late start, we say 29 minus 6. We get 23. We go to the next one. What are we calculating here? The late finish of activity F. Remember what you ask yourselves. What is the successor of the activity F? It's J. What is the late start of activity J? It's 29. So therefore the late finish of activity F is 29. What is the late start there? We say late start is equal to late finish minus the duration. So therefore 29 minus 3 will give us 26. Yippee! We are done with that one. Next one. Okay, so this is where it's gonna be a little bit tricky as well. And remember, the reason why we have to understand what is a major activity and what is a burst activity is, times like this. When we want to calculate the late finish of activity E, right there. Now, remember the question that you ask yourselves: what is the successor of activity E? Okay, it's not just one. So we've got F, G, H, and I as the successor. Wow. There is a merge activity, or in this case, when we're going forward, we say it's a burst activity, right? Yeah, because it burst out. So E is kind of like both a merge activity and a burst activity. All right. Yeah. Now we have got more than one successor. So what do? We look for the lowest late start of those successors. Remember, when we were going forward, we looked for the highest. Now, when we are going backwards, we look for the lowest. So the lowest here is, so on activity I, we've got 25, there we've got 24, we've got 23 and 26. So the lowest is 23. So therefore, the late finish of activity E is equal to 23. All right. And then to get the late start there, we say 23 minus 16, which is equal to 7. Yay! All right, we go to the next one. Let's go to D, okay? What is the successor of D? It's E. What is the late start of E? It's 7. Therefore, the late finish of D is 7. 7 minus 1, we get 6. What is the successor of C? It's E. What is the late start of E? It's 7. So therefore, 7 minus 6. Oh, sorry. So we first of all say 7, okay, as our late finish. And then 7 minus 6, we get 1. We go to the next one. What is the successor of activity B? It's E. What is the late start of E? It's 7. So our late finish of activity B is 7. What is 7 minus 4? To get the late start of activity B, 7 minus 4, the last time I checked was how much? Hey, how much? Oh, I can't believe I'm counting 7 minus 4. Like seriously. Oh, I'm looking for that activity. Oh, 7 minus 4 is 3, everybody. Yeah. Okay. Now, we go to activity A. What is the successor of activity A? It's B, C, and D. We have got more than one successor. So what do? We take the lowest. What is the lowest in this case? It's 1. 1 minus 1, I am not going to think about this one. It's 0. There you go. We are done. All right. So now, this is how you calculate the forward pass and the backward pass. Now, on our next video, which is the last one, okay, we are now going to see how do we calculate the slack of each activity and how do we figure out which one is the critical path. What does critical path mean anyway, and what is the total duration of that particular project? Ciao.